Now you're probably wondering what the imagery is that you're looking at. A field of hand grenades, a claymore mine right behind them. What could be their meaning? Well, I'll get into that a little bit later. Now, I haven't posted as many videos lately, and there's a few reasons for that. One is I and Combat Cameraman are working on a major project, which we're hoping to start soon, but there's been delays in the project due to health reasons. Now, you may have noticed in the videos I have posted over the last month to 2 months that I'm coughing a lot more, wheezing a lot more in the videos and that. I did get a pretty bad respiratory infection a few months ago. Now, I kind of fought it off, but I was still dealing with after effects of it. And about almost a month and a half ago, I got hit hard with it again. And it's seriously messed up my breathing. It's messed up my voice. If you can't even tell, now I'm starting to crack again. Now multiple x-rays have been done in that stuff, negative for pneumonia. But on this last one, there was indications. They made notes that they are seeing scarring inside my lungs. Now, I have not talked to my doctor yet about these results. That's coming up soon, hopefully this next week. And see what the doc has to say on this. See, is this something that's going to be permanent? Or is this something that I'll be fine after some recovery period? I have no idea. Now, when I did some check online, I did some searches, what could cause it and that stuff. And the primary cause for the types of scarring that was found, it actually said in there, is from pneumonia. So it's entirely possible I did have pneumonia a few months back. But by the time I was able to get in to see my doctor at the VA, most of the fluid had cleared from my lungs, so that's why I came out negative. So, who knows on that? Now, God damn it. If it is a permanent thing, then it's going to be a discussion at that point of, am I going to have to go on permanent disability and that type of thing? I have no idea, because if I can't breathe, I can't work at the particular industry that I work in now. I work in logistics. If you can't breathe, you can't do work. Even if you work at desk, you're still going to be doing manual labor for part of your shift. It's just the way it is in the industry. Even if you're driving a truck, there's still going to be times you're going to have to do manual labor also. So we'll see on that one. And, if that turns out to be the case, I don't know, maybe set up a good give, send, go to help tide over while things are getting straightened out for a permanent disability claim. I have no idea. So there's, a little update for you. Now, the situation, the primary thing I want to do this video about, though, and I wanted to get the other stuff out of the way first. This is the situation we find ourselves in now, if you can't figure it out. We are walking through a field of landmines, walking across a table covered in hand grenades. And all it will take is one misstep, one tiny move, one miscalculation sets the whole thing off. Now, someone posted, I think it was Ron, sent me a meme last week. And I thought it was pretty appropriate, so I've posted it several times on the channel over on Telegram. And in that meme, you see someone dressed up in an FBI uniform, the jacket, the cap, all that stuff saying FBI on it. And he's tapping away on the computer. And what's he tapping away on the computer? He's tapping away Well, if they want a civil war, let's give it to them. Let's all go out on the streets and let's show them what we are like. Think about that, because that is the situation we're in, aren't we? Every few weeks I get another comment from someone that now's the time. This is the time. We got to do it. Let's go to war now. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's clean house. About half the time it is a Fed, one of their people trying to stoke something up. The other half of the time it's someone who's just so fed up because of the way everything is going. With their job, with their life, with the economy, maybe an ex-wife, everything. And I understand where they're coming from because I've been the same way the past few months. I mean, just as examples on what has gotten me to that point too. Look at what's being done to kids in schools. Literally, blatantly sexualizing kids. Putting pornographic material in grade school libraries. And when the parents point that out, the parent gets arrested and banned from school board meetings because they pointed that out to the school board, the very people who approved those books to end up in that library. And more often than not, they come up on charges for disorderly conduct. You have teachers who are not doing Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States anymore. They're doing Pledge of Allegiance to not just the Rainbow Gay Pride flag. They're doing Pledge of Allegiance to the MAP flag. For those of you that don't know what the MAP flag is, it's minor attracted person. So this teacher is making kids, and some of these videos are of kindergarten teachers and first grade teachers doing this to these little kids, getting these kids to do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the pedophiles. Now, when you point that out, you report it to the school that, hey, this is crossing the path into grooming if this is what the teacher's doing, because I have serious questions on this. What ends up happening? Oh, the parent gets brought up on charges. Another thing that we've seen happen, how about the banana republic that we live in? The regime that's in power is so scared about the upcoming election that their primary political opponent, they constantly bring up new cases, court cases against this political opponent to somehow get them disqualified from being in the election. And then at the same time, if you've been tracking this stuff, these court cases always seem to get scheduled during important times during the election season. Like Super Tuesday, remember that, a couple months ago? Yeah, it just happened that the lead up to Super Tuesday, the regime's primary political candidate had to be in court every day, so couldn't be out on the campaign trail stumping for his campaign. Think about that. How about some other Banana Republic shit? How about people getting sentenced to prison for 10 years for not even breaking the law? Yes, that's been happening too. People are being sentenced to jail for owning firearms lawfully. No court orders against them. There's no restraining orders, no threatening or whatever. Just a trumped up charge and 10 years in jail. Banned from owning a firearm. Seems like some real Banana Republic shit, doesn't it? How many of you have heard that the ATF has been taking away federal firearms licenses from firearms retailers, from gun stores, over minor infractions such as not capitalizing a letter in one word in one sentence, or forgetting a comma or a period in a sentence. That's now considered a major administrative violation, and they lose their FFL. How many of you are aware of that? Now, for those of you that don't know, all those 4473s, the old paper ones that those gun stores have, when they close, they all get turned over to the ATF for permanent archiving. I and others have said for a long time, and there's people that have been saying it a lot longer than I have, that the 4473s are backdoor gun registration. Something to think about. How about that the current regime in power keeps losing cases in the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court keeps ruling that the things they're doing is unconstitutional and says they're required to stop. But the regime in power literally tells them, suck my dick, and they keep doing it anyway, flaunting it right out in public. Because who's supposed to enforce the Supreme Court decisions? Oh, that's right, federal law enforcement. And who did they report to? Oh yeah, the regime in power. How many of you are aware that there is an act in consideration in Congress right now to create an oversight board by the House of Representatives over the Supreme Court? And if the Supreme Court doesn't, quote unquote, rule the right way, well, the House of Representatives will have to take action against them, possibly removing justices from office, or, overturning the Supreme Court because the House of Representatives says so. Now, I'm sure some of you, the real fuds out there are saying, well, that won't matter. The Republicans are in control of the House of Representatives. The Republicans are in charge of the House of Representatives till this November. And if you actually say that and believe that, you must not realize that there's a thing called the uniparty. If you actually look at how Congress and our government works at state level, at federal level, local level, there isn't two different sides. There's just the one. It's one coin, with Republicans on one side, Democrats on the other. One is heads, one is tails. Regardless on how it lands, it's the person who flips that coin that gets what they want regardless. Think about that. Now, I know some of you are saying, oh, security guy, you need to say, who's the one in control of it? Say it, say it, say it. Okay, I'll say it. It's the globalists. And globalists don't care about religion. They don't care if someone's Christian. They don't care if they're Muslim. They don't care if they're Jewish, Hindu, Shinto, Zoroastrianism, Taoist, animist. Doesn't matter to them. They don't care. They may have been born into one particular religion, for those of you that are obsessed with that shit, but they gave up on it a long time ago. Religion doesn't count for them because they consider themselves gods over the rest of us. And what do? They keep pushing us against each other. Closer and closer all the time. Trying to aggravate the situation. Getting infighting done over minor shit. Really. Now, do they want civil war? Fuck yeah, they want civil war. Because they know if there's a civil war, they can massacre people en masse. Wipe out entire regions, not a single person left alive. And then it's not them that did it. We did it to ourselves. Doesn't matter if it was actually an American pulling the trigger or a UN peacekeeper or fucking space aliens. They still get what they want. Mass death. I've talked about it before. That's their real religion. The human race is just meant to be a sacrificial animal to their God. That big red guy with the horns on his head, hooves on his feet, the spiked tail, funny looking mustache and beard. Hopefully you're smart enough to get that imagery. So we got our situation. Little flashpoint here, little flashpoint there. In any one situation, if that goes off, it'll set off the other ones around it. Till you get a giant conflagration, don't you? Think about it. I know I've mentioned this in the past, and it seems like I'm speaking to people that are fucking death. There's still people out there pushing that there needs to be a national divorce, that we need to split up into individual independent states and countries. Because that'll make everything better. You know, once we split away from everybody else, all the problems will be gone. No, they won't. It just makes us weaker. And I've mentioned that how many times? The American nation is only strong when we're together. When we're divided, we're easy to take down. And they divide us more and more every day. Race, religion, politics, region of the United States. On and on and on. Division, division, division. For one goal. To eliminate us. Not just subjugate us. They say subjugate to give you the perception that, you know what? Maybe if they do take over, it won't be that bad because at least we'll still be alive. They don't need slaves. Not anymore. They have automation. They can get a robot to do whatever they want. They don't need you to pick their food, prepare it. They don't need you to do security for them. They have AI that can run drones for that now. You're a useless eater. Every one of you. Maybe it's time a lot of you people open your fucking eyes and start realizing that. You claim to be awake. You claim to see what's going on, but you really don't. I suspect very few of you do. How many of you have fallen for the psyop over the past 2 weeks here that all the people crossing the borders are just for votes in the coming election? How many of you have? Seriously. I mean, you even have Mr. Potato Head is playing into it, reading those lines saying that they're new voters. How many of you have fallen for that? How many of you remember me, Kaz, Ron, Bug Out, Risky telling you these aren't just voters. These aren't just refugees. Refugees fleeing a war, fleeing a bad situation, bring their women and children with them. Invaders show up alone or in packs and are predominantly military-age males. Are you thinking now? So I know some of you are saying, well, if they're military-age males, if they're invaders, why aren't we doing something now? My question would be, why aren't you? For all of you people out there that keep saying, we need to start stuff now, we need to do it now, how come you aren't? If you think the situation is at the point where we should be putting rounds on foreheads, why aren't you leading the way? Why do you constantly come after people like me, or Kaz, or Risky, or any of the others on any channel, any platform that you keep fucking harassing all the time, trying to get us to do the call to war? If you truly believe now is the moment, why aren't you leading the way? I've brought this up in videos before, and then what happens? You guys post comments of, well, you're clearly a federal instigator trying to get people to do illegal shit. Well, funny that the people posting that are the same motherfuckers that keep trying to tell me I need to do videos saying that. That I have to be the one to do the declaration of war of the American people against the American government. I want all of you to think right now, critically. Actually think. If I were to do a declaration like that right now, how many of you would go to war? And here's a better question. How many people that are not subscribers would follow you? How many? I'm willing to bet it wouldn't even be 1% of 1% of the population would do it. You don't win wars with a group that small in a nation this size and a population this size. There has to be an event that has not happened yet. An event so egregious that at least 50% of the population is so outraged that they're willing to take up arms and fight. Now, it would be 50% are that outraged to do it, but it still would only be that, 1 to 3% of that group that would actually do it. That actually would get off their couch, lace up those boots, toss on that body armor, throw the ruck on their back, grab that rifle, lock and load that magazine, and go out and do something. Well, what type of events could that be, security guy? I mean, what should we be watching for? Oh, I don't know. Maybe the canceling of an election? Do you think maybe that might outrage people enough? How about the Constitution actually being shredded in your fucking face and they admit that the whole thing no longer counts? They literally are running by edicts. Sort of like what we had, 4 years ago that, I was posting stuff then about it, on how the Constitution had been tossed out, that everyone in government, to include Mr. Cheeto Head, was running the country by edicts, not laws. No one went out and did anything then. You guys kept sitting at home saying, well, because Trump does it, it can't be bad. Do you think you're actually going to do something if it turns out to be Kamala that does it? Or Michelle? Or Gavin? Do you really think you're going to get off your couch and go out and fight then? I'm willing to bet that 99% of you won't. because you'll come up with an excuse of, well, I have to pay my bills. I have to watch over my wife and kids. And I know I've mentioned this before. The founding fathers said the same things. But they actually grabbed themselves by the nutsack, gave it a fucking yank, kissed their wives, kissed their kids, and went out to the door to an uncertain future. How many of you are actually going to do that? I know a lot of you are saying, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. How, really, seriously, sit the fuck down, think about it right now. Think about walking out that door, not seeing your wife and kids for months, not sleeping in a bed, sleeping on the muddy ground. Your only thing for warmth, a thin piece of plastic poncho over the top of you in the rain. Or in the winter, the only thing keeping you warm is a single wool blanket tossed over you and a couple other guys with improper cold weather gear because you didn't think it'd be needed because, it just don't get that cold around here. Huddling in a hole. Can't have a fire because that gives away a heat signature that can be picked up by a drone. All huddled together as close as you can get to try to keep from freezing. I want you to think about that stuff. There is a group of people in this country that is willing to do that. Why? Because we've done it before. And you just keep shitting on us all the time. Because we actually answered the country's call. We went overseas. We killed the people that we were told were the enemy that were trying to destroy our freedom here at home. In actuality, it was the people fucking sending us over that were destroying our freedoms. But we were so laser focused on that enemy on the battlefield, we didn't notice what was going on behind us. And what do? You little assholes fucking do. And I'm pointing out primarily to Gen Z kids on this. You start attacking us saying that everything fell apart because it's our fault. Oh, excuse fucking me. I was overseas carrying a fucking rifle while you were wearing fucking diapers, you little piece of shit. I was trying not to get blown the fuck up that goddamn day by an IED. Or catching a fucking round in the face by a sniper. If you're lucky, you get to see where the fucking rounds are coming from so that you can put rounds in that direction and maybe, just maybe, take out some of that rage, that frustration, that fear on a fucking enemy troop. And what happens? I'll tell you what fucking happened. 2008, election year. Obama's running for office. His VP, Joe Biden with him. Well, they weren't the ones that started this. It was W, that great big patriot that sent us to war. He's the one that signed off on multiple memos stating that the soldiers returning from overseas are potential domestic violent extremists. How many of you remember that? Now you're probably going to say, oh, that's just a MIAC report. No, it's not. Homeland Security did a giant fucking thing on that too. I actually got a hold of that before I retired. That fucking report and what I read in that report made a huge fucking decision for me to retire when I did. So that when it was time to re-enlist, I said no. Because the very government that was sending us overseas to fight, to die, considered us the enemy more of an enemy than those goat fuckers overseas that we were killing. The ones that were putting out the IEDs to take us out. The very soldiers sent overseas to fight them, to fight the terrorists, were more of an enemy to the George Bush administration than the fucking jihadis. And then what did we do after that? Oh, we get a new administration in. Obama. What does he do? Oh, all of a sudden we get these little groups appearing all over the Middle East and all over the world. That United States has to back them. We have to give them weapons. We have to give them training. And then when we start finding out, these guys are the very people we were killing on the other side of the border in Iraq or the other side of the border in Afghanistan, who were putting out the IEDs to try to kill us. And now this week, we have a different president in the office, and he says that they're the real allies, and we're supposed to give them all our shit. Think about that crap. Now, maybe the reason that they demonize us so much is, I don't know, because they're fucking afraid of us. Because we went overseas, endured hellish fucking conditions. We're willing to fight and die in some piece of fucking cat litter filled fucking location. If we were willing to fight and die there, what the hell would we do here at home to actually defend that piece of paper that we take an oath to? We don't take an oath to the president. We don't take an oath to a political party. We don't take an oath to the government. Our oath of enlistment is to the Constitution of the United States and the people. And they considered us the enemy. Think about that. I got to take a drink every once in a while to keep my throat semi-clear. And it's a losing proposition. And then how are we greeted here at home? Well, the people who sat at home during this entire time, the people that we thought we were protecting, started attacking us too, saying that we're the ones responsible for everything falling apart. Well, I don't know. I thought, I was a little busy overseas trying not to get killed while trying to kill other people that were trying to kill me. And I was being told, we're trying to kill you. Whatever. As our parents said in Vietnam, don't mean nothing. You know what? They were right about that. Don't mean nothing. Not a thing. So, would you really be upset if all us Gen X and millennials who went overseas and told to kill a bunch of goat fuckers say, fuck you, you deal with it? We had our time, and you guys didn't back us up? I want to tell you a little story here about after I retired. Okay, I went to school. I got 2 college degrees in half the time it took to get one of those degrees. You realize how hard I had to work to do that, to pull that off? It wasn't easy, but I pulled it off. Graduated at the top of my class. Go out, do interviews. And you know what's the very first fucking question I was always asked when I would go to an interview? Every interview. and it was illegal for them to ask this. The very first thing they would ask me is, so, how long till you have a PTSD episode come in and kill everyone here in the office? Now, as soon as you get to ask that, you know damn well you're not going to get the job. So you might as well just stand up and walk out the fucking door. But I put up with their bullshit and went through the interviews. And surprise, surprise, I didn't get the job. Didn't matter, I was vastly overqualified for what they asked for with experience and education. Fuck, I was even applying for entry-level positions that didn't even require degrees. And I would get asked the same fucking question. So, how long till you have a PTSD episode come in and kill everyone on the crew? I had that same fucking thing for multiple years. So during those years, that money that I had saved up being overseas, I had to use that to survive. Pay for food and fuel and all that stuff. Definitely a negative income time period. By far. And I seriously considered, going back in, saying fuck you civilians. Just going in the military, putting up with the bullshit and fucking, almost pray for dying overseas, since obviously there wasn't a place for me anywhere in the civilian world. So what does any of that have to do with our current situation? Well, it hasn't gone away. We still get pushed, as veterans. We always have, every generations. Veterans always get pushed and spit on. Even World War II, even World War I. Those veterans were spit on also when they came back. They may not have been called baby killers, but they were called murderers. Because people just don't understand why we do what we do or did what we did. So really, why the fuck should we fight for you? Seriously. You wouldn't give us a time of day when we got home. You would say, thank you, welcome home. And then when we would come up to you and say, hey, can we get a job? You'd say, oh, no. I'm too concerned you're going to have a PTSD episode. What jobs I did get, which weren't even related to my college degrees, eventually I went into security, obviously. You know what happened then? When I meet my coworkers, you know what the first question is they would ask me? So how many people did you kill overseas? Every fucking time. Every job. It was never a veteran that would ask that. It was always a little civilian piece of shit who was never willing to serve. That's not them. They were too smart to enlist, they'd tell you. I wasn't so stupid and desperate to actually enlist into the military. I decided to concentrate on my employment. Do you really think asking a veteran that question is the right thing to do? Yes, I know I'm rambling on. I don't care. But I want you guys to get a feel for the situation of maybe why the veteran population isn't doing something. Think about it. You treat us like shit, and then you expect us to come in and clean everything up for you so that you can go back to stuffing your face with fucking cheeseburgers and pizza, sitting on your fat fucking ass in front of a goddamn computer playing games, shit talking to other people that you'll never meet in real life, and think you're a tough guy by posting those fucking comments in a goddamn chat on some fucking game. And you'll never be expected to have to back it up in real life. To show if you actually have the testicular fortitude to actually back up what you said. Why the fuck should I give my life for your dumbass? Maybe it would behoove me to give my life for a woman that I actually love. Or kids that are biologically mine. Maybe it would be better for that. Let you guys just fucking die. You don't give a fuck about your freedom. You really don't, because if you did, you would have actually done something by now. Instead, you want to sit on your fucking ass, looking at a goddamn computer or your phone, and yell at me for not going to war in this country. I've posted how many times about what you guys can expect if it actually happens here. Have any of you actually thought about that? Truthfully. Or do you really believe the whole fucking thing is a video game? Because I still come across comments like that. So does Ron. So does Cass. So does Risky. We all get these comments from you kids, thinking it's a fucking video game. Do you realize how much that pisses us off? Those of us that had to fucking burn ourselves on the fucking sand in some country overseas because we had to get down when shots rang out. The fucking sand so goddamn hot it was like laying on a fucking grill. And you literally burned your fucking arms. Anything that wasn't covered with cloth. Yeah, maybe I do got a little bit of animosity over that shit. Maybe I do. I don't fucking care anymore. No, I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm drinking water. I can't afford alcohol. So maybe we should get down to the imagery now, huh? This is the situation we find ourselves in. This is us here. The Claymore back here. That's the government. They have more than enough power to take out everyone out here. But everyone out here has more than enough power to take it out. And then over here on the other side, us caught in between, well, we got the Russians here. We got the Chinese here, and I know some idiots are saying, well, that's a German grenade, not Chinese, you moron. How many of you are aware that during World War II, the Chinese government, both the communists and the nationalists, used primarily German hand grenades? So it is a fitting representation. Now, in between here, what do we got? Oh, we got the baby boom generation here, here, here. The Mark V's, the M26. And then in here, we got the mix, newer generations. We got Gen X, Millennials. We got, Gen Z fucker back here. Another Gen Z fucker back here. They're the closest to the mind because they're the ones that are getting manipulated the most by this back here. Telling them that, hey, we need to bring down capitalism. So we can bring in that utopia. You deserve it. Look at what the older generations did. It's their fault that you're in this situation. And then the other one's over here. Oh, you need to do something. There's too many black people. There's too many brown people. There's too many Jews. You need to do something about that because all these older generations over here, they manipulated you and they made the situation go bad for you. You're never going to be able to afford a home or anything, and you'll go to a job that no one's going to like you. You're not going to earn enough. Maybe you should do something. Rest of us out here, We don't give a fuck. That's why we're farther away. You got some of the boomers back here are still right next to government because, they still believe all the bullshit about how the government was right about everything because the government is doing things in our own best interests. Then you got, the Vietnam veterans over here who got soured by government decades ago. You got the ones in the middle here, they're kind of halfway. They believe in Trump, that Trump can fix everything. All he has to do is just get in office and then magically rainbows are going to come out. The unicorns are going to reappear. Prices instantly are going to go back to the way it was. And everything is going to be wonderful. You got the Gen Xers back here, the purple-headed motherfuckers, also being manipulated by government. They want to bring down capitalism and that stuff. They're all burned out by it, on how they can't get their way. They want to be their true selves. Up here, you got the veterans. Those of us that served. Maybe it was in Panama, Grenada, Somalia, First Gulf War, Second Gulf War, Afghanistan, Syria, Haiti, Bosnia, Philippines, all the little missions down in South America and Africa that we're not allowed to talk about. Yeah, trust me, that really puts us off and separates us away. But we're pissed off just as much as everyone else. And all it's going to take is one person who's been worn down. Maybe they lose their job. Wife walks out on him, takes the kids, calls him a worthless piece of shit because he lost his job. Well, what's he going to do? Work himself to death to pay exaggerated alimony and child support so that that ex-wife doesn't have to work ever again? And you keep digging at this guy all the time, calling him a piece of shit because he won't actually fight. Why won't he do the call to war? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? It's all your fault. Your fault. Everything's bad because of you. Well, what's going to happen? Someday, he's going to get a good, don't give a fuck attitude. And then someone's going to keep pushing. What's going to happen then? Do you think at that point you can put the pin back in and stop the fire train? Do you? You do if you want, just play video games and never handled live ordnance. Trust me, I've met enough dumb fucking kids who seriously believe all you have to do is put a pin back in a grenade to stop it from burning. Real fucking brain children. And what happens when this one goes off? Sympathetic detonation. And then the whole fucking mess goes off. And then everybody blames everyone else. This one goes off, sets off this one. This one sets off this one. This one sets off this one. And then, just back and forth. Everyone blaming everyone else for doing it. Ignoring that maybe this one was just pushed a little bit too fucking far, huh? Something to think about. We are in this situation. We're a pile of fucking hand grenades. The safeties are gone. All we got left is the pull ring and the spoon. It just takes one person somewhere to do something fucking stupid. And then the whole fucking thing goes up, doesn't it? And then all you people that keep talking about how you need to do something now, you know, we have to do it now, now's the time. When you actually have to see the shit with your own fucking eyes, see that all the goddamn things we warned you about were true. That you called us stupid boomers, we don't know a fucking thing. It won't be like that. Trust me, I get comments like that on a regular basis too. You think when that first explosion goes off, it's going to stop any of the others? No. You're going to get sympathetic detonation. Another one's going to go off, then another, then another, then another. And then before you know it, every last one on the table's gone off. And it may not be here, you know, it could be one back there. You know, it could be, you know, that fat leftist who doesn't like Trump, you know, and then Trump somehow, he steals the election in 2024. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it. Oh my God. Maybe that's going to be the one to set it off. Does it fucking matter? Seriously. Do you people really, really understand what will happen? Do you really want to see what we've seen overseas? You want to see dead kids on the ground? Blown to fucking pieces? They weren't the target, but they just happened to be too close to a fucking IED? Or how about you spray a bunch of rounds into a building because you take rounds from a sniper, and then you send people in to clear it, and then you find out there was a bunch of fucking kids in that room too. Because that sniper hit himself and the kids. You want to go through that? Realize that you were rocking on that 50 cal. You thought you were taking out a sniper, but you killed an entire room full of kids. Is that really what you want? Think about it. Think about what can happen. Think about what the consequences will be.